I'm going to be going over the Next.js Template CLI that I've been working on. It's set up with Clerk Auth, PostgresQL, Prisma, and a Navbar directly after you run the Template CLI command. So just to show a little bit about the site, so once we generate our template, it asks us a few questions like our project name and our project description, and then the contact information for the site owner, stuff like that, and then it generates this template for us. So you see we have our logo here with a diamond and then the project name. We can switch all this out really easily, including this icon with Material UI. And then we have this, two-panel layout that I use for a lot of my sites. It just easily allows you to put some information, like information over here and then an image over here, or, you know, it just is a nice layout for us, and it's actually fully responsive as well. So if we were to open up our developer console here, we could see that once it gets to a width of, below 800 pixels, it's actually going to switch over and become a mobile layout. So yeah, and then we have our menu over here. So we have home and contact and sign in. So if we go to contact, we see just a generic contact page with Joey Lopez. These are the defaults. And then we have our sign in. So we can either go sign in here or we can click the profile icon and it will take us to our clerk authentication. And this, once we have this set up, it's fully set up for us to have authenticated routes, authenticated API routes, and admin users, and all of that just ready for us, ready to go. Very simple out the box. So I'm going to log in with Google, and you will see that we have our account logged in here, and we can manage our account here. We have our profile page that takes us to our clerk profile that we can update if needed, and then we have our edit details page, which isn't implemented yet, but this is a admin authenticated route, so only admins can access this. And if we were to sign out now, this is going to sign us out, and then we will no longer have access to any of those other routes. So the slash profile and the slash edit, we do not have access to those anymore. So that's a little bit about the site, and now let's jump into implementing it. So for some background on this, it's based off a template CLI from Leo Roese. The GitHub and video for that are here. So the changes that I made were that I added, the template for Next.js, Clerk Auth, the Prisma database, and the Navbar and page menu overlay. So this stuff is my template that, I've been using to make all my sites lately. And then I added a few Inquirer questions for the project class in the project description. And I'm using these to fill out this template a bit further than what he was doing in the original template CLI here. So in his version here, he's asking for just the project choice. So, this allows you to choose from all of the projects that are located in this templates folder. So he has all of these. I'm only going to have one in my version of the template CLI currently, but I'll probably add more to those as we go on. But yeah, so he's asking about the project choice there and then the project name. So this would just be, whatever you want to title your project as. And then my version here, you see that in the index.js here, I added a couple extra questions. So we have the project class and the project description. So the project class, this is expecting all lowercase and with underscores. So it's pretty much going to be the same thing as the project name. You could name this something differently than the project name, but it should more or less just be the project name with all lowercase and underscores. And this is mostly used for like CSS or just any time where you need to use the project name as a variable name. I would use it as all lowercase and underscores. So this is just nice to have as a constant in your project. And then the project description, this is going to be the description that you want to display, like when you Google your website in a search engine, this description will come up. So you want to put something descriptive here, but it doesn't have to be like perfect. It can just be what you want it to be, what you think your project will be, and then later on you can update it. But it's nice to have it already defined here. And this description will be saved in the constants file so that you don't need to like redefine it everywhere in your project. You have it in this constants file in the libs / constants.js. You have size description, and you can pull from this very easily throughout the whole project. So yeah. Then that's all the changes that I made, and then now we need to actually download and install the template CLI. So to do that, we're going to clone the repo with this command, so git clone, and then the repo HTTPS URL. So it's going to be this one. You can go to code and then HTTPS and then click this little copy button. And then if you go to the folder, so go to whatever folder you want to start saving your projects in. So I have like dev, websites, Next.js, tutorials. I think, usually I would save it in just Next.js, but right now I'm doing like separate stuff from my normal environment. So we will just open, it in this tutorials folder. So we'll open git bash. Hopefully you have this installed. If not, it's very easy to install to git bash. Then we'll do git clone and then the URL. So from here, we're going to open the VS Code console, and we're just going to install the project. So to install the project, we're going to go through these steps. So it's going to be yarn install and then npm install -g. And then if you want to uninstall it ever, you could do npm install -g template CLI. So we're going to do yarn install, and then we're going to do npm install -g. And now if we run template CLI, it will run the template CLI. But we actually don't want to run it from this folder itself, because then it's going to generate our template, right inside this template CLI path. So it's going to actually generate it within this folder, and we don't want that. Right now I want it to actually generate inside this folder, so it should be in the tutorials folder. So if we do cd ... and then we do template CLI here. Now, if we start running this, so it asks us what project would you like to generate, and we only have one right now. It's going to be generic Navbar template with Next.js, Prisma, and Clerk. So we'll go with that. The project name is going to be, let's see, let's say generic, or no, actually we will say authenticated template tutorial. I think that's pretty good. And then we'll go authenticated template tutorial. So yeah, this is that class name I was talking about. So it's going to be all lowercase with underscores for the spaces. You could make this different than this. It doesn't have to be the same, but in most cases it should be, or it would be. And then in the description, you should put something, very descriptive here. It should even be long for good search engine optimization, but right now that doesn't even matter. So we're going to say generic site with authenticated navbar and page menu. So yeah, that works for now. So when we set up our project, or once we run this, it's going to set up a whole project with all of this declared throughout the project as constants. So yep. We're going to see, it created the template at the path here, creates the project, and then modifies these files to update it with these constants. So from there, let's go and look at the project that it generated. So if we go back to the tutorials folder where we ran this from, then we see we have authenticated template tutorial now. And if we open that with VS Code, we will see we have a full project here. We'll have our next config here. We have, actually, to start out with, let's go to our constants file, and we'll see the name got populated here, the class name got populated here, and the site description got populated here. And now throughout our whole project, we import this constants file, and then all of these constants are available to us. So here we would usually put, our site URL. Right now, I don't have one for this website. This is just a tutorial, but you would put yours there if you had it. You can always put it there down the road though. Right now we can just leave it blank and that works just fine. The AWS bucket URL, this would be the URL that you would use to access pictures from your AWS S3 bucket. That's what I use for, when I'm working with a site that has a lot of images. I'll use AWS S3 buckets. So I would put that there, but we can maybe go over that later on. And then we have the contact full name and the contact email. So I didn't have Inquirer questions for these because they're not super needed, but we can set them up now. So, we can just make up some name, Joey Lopez, and Joey, if I can type, Lopez at gmail.com. Sure. So all of these are going to be used throughout the website. And if we, let's see, actually, let's try just pulling up the website right now. So we do need to do a little bit more setup just to kind of show you what we need to do. We have these project setup stages. So, we begin development, we create a project with the Template CLI that we just installed and we generated our project with. Then we update the constants.js file. That's what I was just showing you. Then we would create a Heroku database and update the .env file with the database URL. That .env file will be here. So we have the .env.example. We obviously don't want to upload our .env file to Git. So in our git ignore, we ignore .env files. So when you generate your project, you're going to need to copy this .env.example and rename it and just make it .env. And then from there, you fill out all of this. You leave this one blank. It's just an example. And then this one is the one you fill out. So this is going to be your PostgresQL database. I'm using Heroku for that database. This is going to be your NextJS public Clerk publishable key. And basically all four of these are going to be your Clerk API keys. So we have our PostgresQL URL, and then we have our Clerk API keys. So that's, the API keys that we need just for the base of this website. And then let's see. So we'll do the database, then we'll do Clerk. So Clerk is what we're going to use for authentication. And we'll update the env file with those API keys. Then we'll create the Vercel project. So Vercel is what we'll be using to host the website. And then we will push the project to, we'll push like the whole project that we just generated. So this one, we'll push it to a GitHub repo, and then we will tell Vercel to point at that repo. And from there, Vercel will deploy our site and we'll be all up and ready to go. So just to show you kind of where the site is at right when we, run the template CLI and then update this constants.js file. So right once we do that, we go to yarn install. So now, before we were installing the template CLI, and now we're installing the actual project. So this is going to be the website that we're installing. So we'll do yarn install, and this is going to install all the dependencies for us. This will take a minute. Yeah, it's going to get Prisma ready for us. It's going to get, let's see if we can go through our package.json real quick. It's going to get material UI icons ready for us, Clerk. It's going to get Sass ready for us, and Prisma. So those are the main ones. And now that we have it installed, we can try yarn dev, and this is going to open up the development server. So if we open that up now, I'm actually going to open it up in here. So we'll say localhost 3000 and missing publishable key. So yeah, actually here we are actually going to need to put in our .env file settings. So I thought that the website would actually show before we did this stuff, but Clerk is actually very, very core to the website. So we don't want users to be able to access page routes that they're not meant to. So we're going to have admin page routes and we're going to have non-admin page routes. And we want to make sure that only those admins can access those admin routes. So I think this is probably a good thing that it just won't run at all without Clerk instantiated. So to get into that then, I guess, we will create our Clerk project. So to do that, we will go to this URL. So it's going to be dashboard.clerk.dev/signin. And we're going to need to create a Clerk account. So to do that, I'm going to be using a email that I generated for making tutorials. So, this is a sign in page. So we'll go to here and we'll say, I'm just going to make up a name. So I do want to show you guys everything. So I'm going to create new accounts for everything just so that, you know, everything is shown and everything is seen. So it will take a couple extra minutes, but I think that is worth it. Just waiting for this email to come through. Not getting it though. Try that one more time. Okay. It was actually going to the wrong folder. So, um, yeah, for some reason, I guess Gmail has a promotions tab. So if you're using Gmail, make sure you check your promotions tab if you can't find it. Yeah. So if we now are in our account, so I'm in Joey Lopez and we have no applications yet. So let's create our application. It's going to be called authenticated template tutorial. So we're just going to call it that. And we'll have, so you have these options. So we have standard authentication and email, phone number, username. We're just going to go with email. This is if they want to use, an email and password login, standard. We could have it as username instead, but we're going to go with email address and password for this one. And then, you can use whatever social connections you want. I usually just go with Google. Maybe using Apple would be good as well. But most people have Gmail, so I go with that. So we have email and Google and our application name, and then none of these, and we just go with finish. And that creates our project for us. We get some little confetti on our screen. And yeah, now we can go to our API keys and we can take these. So we're going to use NextJS. So we'll select that framework and then we will copy our API keys into the project. So our next public clerk publishable key will be this, and we will wrap this in quotes. And then our secret key will be that second one. So that's going to be this one, and we'll have to show it. Again, this is just a generic account that I'll be deleting. So, you could try to use these API keys, but it probably is not going to get you too far. But if you just want to use it for testing, if it's up, then go ahead, I guess. And then the clerk API key and the clerk secret key are going to be the same. So you can put those on both, the same one. And then the clerk JWT key, you're going to get that from down here. So we'll reveal it, and then we'll click the copy button, and that's just going to go in here. It actually looks like it's the same. Actually, that's the secret key. We need this one. So we'll go to Advanced tab, and then we will go to, it's actually going to be this entire thing. So the JWT key, you actually need to paste it in here. And then the other thing about this is that you can't have these new line characters. So you actually do have to go through and do this. Don't know if there's any good solution for this, but it's not too big of a deal to just go through and do this. So it's going to look like that. The line's going to be insanely long, but I'm sure there's some workaround for this, but it works like this. It's completely fine. So yeah. So now we have that filled out. Our site should, I think, work now. Let's go back to the local host. So localhost /3000, and now we see our site is up, and we see authenticated template tutorial because that's what we put when we were creating our template CLI, template. That's what we put as the page name. So now we see we have home, contact, and sign in pages. So if we go to contact, we see Joey Lopez now. We see joeylopez@gmail.com because that's what we put in the constants. So now we can go to the sign in page. So we can either access it from sign in on the menu here, or we can access it from clicking on this little account icon. And then from there, I'll just log in with my Google here. And from there, we now see that our account is signed in. So we have our account here. Usually it'll show your Gmail account logo, but right now it's not. I'm sure that'll usually work, but maybe it's because, I think it might be because I signed out and I'm signed in on my tutorial email. Either way though, we do see that our account is signed in. And now in the Clerk backend, we could go in and actually see that user. So if we go to users, now we see user Tori Smith. And actually what we're going to want to do is go into, so if you click on the user, so you don't want to do this with all your users, but with yourself, with anyone else who is an admin on your website, you will go in here to the user profile and you'll set, in the public metadata, you will set role and admin. I actually think this is role, but we can check that actually. So if we search for admin, then we can see, actually what we'll search for is public metadata. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's right here. Public metadata.role. So it's actually all lowercase role. So we have role admin. It should be all uppercase admin, but all lowercase role. So this will save him as an admin. There's definitely more elegant ways that you can set this, but this way does work. No one will be able to edit this except for you in the back end of this website, the Clerk website. So it's a pretty secure way of implementing, admin or whatever roles you need on your website. So now if we were to check this out, oh, you can see actually it did update with my little picture. And now we actually see a few other pages. So these pages aren't implemented yet, but we can see them in the menu now that we are logged in. So we can't actually see the profile. So this is like a Clerk default page, so you can edit your email address in here, add email addresses. This is all for your Clerk account. Looks like this page, the CSS could be a bit better to go down the whole page, but no big deal there. And this edit details page goes to 404 currently. It's not implemented, but now if we were to sign back out, you can see that the menu would instantly update and you aren't able to see those routes anymore. And so one of those pages was, actually don't remember. Let's log back in just so I can see real quick. So we had profile. So if we try to sign out, now when we go to profile page here /profile, you see it gets redirected straight back to the index page because we don't have access to that page. And just so you know, like this diamond icon, I'm just using a material UI icon for this, so you can edit this out very easily. This is just to make it as generic as possible and easy to set up as possible. So you have like a logo here. You could switch all of this whole thing out to be a graphic, like a PNG or a JPEG. But I think this way works generically right now. You can go to material UI icons. So this is using diamond. Obviously, we're using this one, but you could switch it out to be anything else. So logo, like Twitter logo, if you wanted, you could switch it out to that. So if you find diamond, it's going to be in the navbar. So this diamond icon, we could switch this out and we could say we want to be Twitter now. So if you just take this instead, Twitter icon, now we are Twitter. And then if we wanted to say we're Twitter here, so instead of authenticated template tutorial, we go to our constants and we say we are Twitter. And we would want to update all this as well. Not that it will really break anything if we don't have it updated, but yeah. So now we're Twitter, and in our contact page, well, we're still Joey Lopez there, but we are Twitter now. In our description, if you were to go into the site metadata, we could see our description is we are Twitter. And, the title is set to whatever is up here. And yeah. So from there, we're going to set up a database as well so that we have that ready. For this tutorial, we're not going to actually implement anything into the database, but we will have it set up. So I'm just going to create another account. So it's going to be, I gotta remember the email that I made. Tutorial site. Sure. I'm a professional. Node.js. We're using NextJS React, but Node.js falls in that category. All right. Actually opened in my other window, so it's gonna open this. Setting up the password, and we're gonna proceed. And apparently I gotta log in anyway. And now I gotta set up multi-factor authentication. No big deal. Love that. So we will use a one-time password generator app. I use Microsoft Authenticator on my phone. So if you just download that app and then you go to let's see, you go to scan the QR code. So I just scan that. And now I'm getting the QR code on my phone. So these codes change every 30 seconds, so it doesn't matter if you see it. And then you can change this to whatever you want the verifier name to be. Yeah, I'll just put Joey Lopez again. And we're authenticated. And we don't need to worry about all of this. We're just going to accept. And yeah, we will have to. So the one drawback here with Heroku, at least, you could use really any PostgresQL database, but for Heroku, we do need to pay $5 for a database, unfortunately, but no big deal, really. So we're going to create a app, and it's going to be, oh wow, we hit the limit. So we're just going to say authenticated template, and yeah, we're going to create it United States, and we're going to have to add a payment method. So I'll go ahead and do that. That's the one thing I guess I won't show you guys. Getting that set up. All right, so got that set up. It took me back here, so we'll just do this one more time. Authenticated template. So now we have the project, and now we want to go to overview, and we need to install an add-on. So the databases are add-ons in Heroku. We don't need to click that. We actually just need to do Postgres. So we're going to add Heroku Postgres, and that's going to be mini plan with $5. They used to have free plans. Unfortunately, they took those away a few months back, but $5, not the end of the world. So yeah, we have that database now, and if we open it up, it will open a new page, and we can grab the database URL from there. So we go to settings and then credentials, and then we grab this URI. So this is going to be the database URI, and then we will put that into our project. So we're going to go into the .env file and put it in the database URL. This one doesn't need to be wrapped in quotes. It'll work just like this. And to get that to work, we need to go and do npx prisma generate. And that will generate the schema that we have defined here. So we go to Prisma, schema.prisma, and it's going to take the database URL from the .env file, and it's going to use that to generate a table for this piece model that we have. This is just like a generic model for like an image with like a title and a width and a height that we're saving in our database. So from there, with our, table generated, if we go and open up that table, I use Tables Plus to, check my tables, but you can use any PostgreSQL editor. Tables Plus works very well though. So you do create a new connection here and then import from URL. And we're going to use the URL that we just pulled from and click OK. And yeah, then it's going to pull everything out of that URL, the password, the username, all of that. And now we can test that out. So we should actually name that first. So we're going to just say it's authenticated template tutorial. Oh, okay. It doesn't like me copy and pasting for some reason. So we'll go with that. And you can set a color if you want. Should go with like blue or red. And then we'll test it out. and it's going to tell us it's okay, and we're going to click save. And now we open it up. Yeah, we should see nothing. And you know why that was? Because I hadn't saved this file when I did the npx Prisma generate. I noticed that earlier, wasn't sure if it was going to matter. Now let's see. Still not seeing anything here, huh? Let me check my notes. I think actually, so let's run npx Prisma db push. This is going to actually push it into our database. So now, here, we see in our tables, we have the piece table. So we have ID, title, image URL, width, and height. So yeah, this should be all good now. This Prisma generate command, that actually generates the Prisma client that our whole rest of our site uses. So that is necessary to do as well. But yeah, I think that is done automatically for you when you're running yarn dev. So wouldn't worry too much about that. But if we run npx Prisma db push, it will push up whatever you have declared in here. So like if we were to define another one with like book or whatever, book with, you're obviously going to have an ID, the title you'll still have, we could say author here. This will still be a string. And nothing else. We'll just say those three. Now if we do npx Prisma db push again, it's going to create that extra table for us. So now we see book, and it's going to have ID, title, author. Easy. So we're not going to actually use these in this tutorial, and we're actually going to just get rid of this one. So let's do that. But it's good to have the database ready because every website you're going to need a database for pretty much. And yeah, so now that we push that again, we see it gets rid of it, and we are good to go with the database. So from there, let's see in our setup process where we're at. So, so we created the Heroku DB and we updated the env. Now, and we also already did the Clerk project. So now we need to create the Vercel project and update the env variables there. So Vercel is what we're going to use to host the project. So let's go to vercel.com. We'll sign up, and with email and tutorial site. Yep. Grab that. That's quite the code. Eager porcupine. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to show you guys my phone number. You know, I'm sure you're all cool, but not that cool. All right, got to get a code. I know it's going to add a bit of time to this tutorial to show all of this signing up for everything and everything, but I think you guys are going to have to be doing it too, so I might as well have to go through the pain. All right. So, we're logged in now. I just had to put the code in that it sent me through a text, and we're all good. So, from here, we're going to have to import the Git repo, but to do that, we got to make a Git repo. So, to do that, let us, we'll just actually do it this way. So I'm not going to create a Git account. I'm assuming you have that. I'm just going to use my current one. So to do that, we're going to go up here. We're going to click New Repository. And this is going to be same as we've been using. So authenticated template tutorial, and we're not going to give it a description right now. I'll make it public, and no need for a readme file. Git ignore. We'll be adding that, so no worries there. Let's just create the repo. And now here we're going to, so here we see, what we're going to have to do. So we're going to say git remote add origin is what we're going to say. Actually, we should say, because I believe we're going to be on the master branch. So we actually haven't even initialized the project yet. So that actually works. So we say git init, and now we're going to say, um, I mean, we could just actually copy directly from here. So first commit, I usually would go with the initial commit, and then it's going to add all those files. Actually, it's not because we did add them. So we're going to do git add dot, and now we'll do git commit. It's going to add all the files for us, and then we're going to commit them into a branch main. So if we check what branch we're on now, we're on main, and now we will add the origin. So that's going to be just our Git repo that we created. And now we will push them up to the origin. So git push -u origin main. And it's going to open that here now. So if we just update our code, so if we just refresh the page or click this code button, it's going to have our whole project here. So now we can, I'm assuming we just take the URL. It's been a bit since I created a whole new project on Vercel, but we're going to go through it right now. So we're going to import from Git, and to do that, we're going to have to just log in to our Git. I'm already, having that logged in, but you'll just have to log into your Git repo. And then we're going to take what's most likely the latest project here. So we have authenticated template tutorial. It even tells us we just updated it. And so that's the one we're going to take. So we'll import that. The project name is authenticated template tutorial with Next.js. And let's see. We should set our environment variables though. We could do it later, but we might as well do it now. So let's see. We have all of those defined here. And if we just do like a little side by side, then we got database URL. Let's see. Make this a lot smaller. That'll make our life a bit easier. Not that much easier apparently though. So we're going to just paste these in. We'll say add. You don't need to put quotes around it in here. Clerk secret key. Clerk API key. Clerk JWT key. Whole thing. Yeah. So that's all of our environment variables set up. And now we're going to deploy. And from there, we will see if our project is working. So, create Vercel and update the environment variables, push project to GitHub repo. We should probably, modify this to be opposite order because you do actually need to have it already pushed before you can upload it to Vercel. But yeah, we'll just wait for this to build. It's going to take maybe a minute to 2 minutes. I think first build usually takes about 2 minutes, but the site is very bare bones right now, so maybe a bit shorter. Once this is complete, actually, we should be able to connect to it fully. We should be fully ready. So this is our local connection to the site. So it'll look exactly the same pretty much, but it's just going to be deployed on an actual web server that's available on the internet. If I open this up, we can actually see what it's doing. Looks like it just finished building. And it's assigning domains, which we haven't actually assigned any domains yet, but you can see the page actually looks like it's working. If we continue to the dashboard, then you'll see it assigns it a domain that is decent already. Authenticated template tutorial.vercel.app. It also, it will also give you a few other options. So I think authenticated template tutorial dash tutorial site 304. Just a few options for different domains, but down the road you can set this up to have your own custom domain. But if we go to this domain, we can see our site is up. It's running. The dark mode is enabled, so it looked a little funky there, but it's up and running. Looks pretty much the same. We have sign in, contact home still. We have our Joey Lopez, and then we can sign in here with Google. And we can actually see that even though we were running on local before and now we're on the actual site, this user is still an admin because we authenticated him as role admin in the Clerk backend. So that Clerk backend will be used across any website that you use this API key for. So if you were to put these Clerk API keys into another website, all the same users would actually still work on that website the same that they work on this one. So that's maybe a good thing or a bad thing depending on how it's used, but it is actually pretty powerful that you don't need to have the databases linked up somehow. It's kind of just like a third party store of users that you can use for whatever you need to. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Our site is up and running, and we have our database, we have a Clerk, and we have our Navbar with the menu fully set up, and we can add routes to it pretty easily. I'll go over that later. We need to go over adding to the database, pulling from the database, adding new routes and new pages, going over how to make the page routes authenticated so only admins can access them, stuff like that. But this is how you start a new project really quickly, can get it up and running, and kind of just get started without having to deal with all the project setup stuff. So yeah, I hope this helps. Yeah, have a good one.